ain't Pepsi, it ain't Pepsi.
You got a good point there. I think so. Coming up next, Pepsi lovers who gotta have it and why.
Shalom, my fellow individuals. You read the title of this video. You know what you're getting into. So let me take my Adderall and let's go for it. Just keep in mind that this will be on an totally not a fake PS1.
Hey, let's start the game!
Yeah, let's go!
Ah, Pepsi Man, you got here just at the perfect time. I got a call that a vending machine ahead ran out of Pepsi, and I was just on my way there when I got a flat tire. There are a bunch of people gathered in front of the vending machine. They want Pepsi! And the word is that they're just about to riot.
You can tell this is a man that cares about his job. This is an auto runner. Simply survive to the end and you'll move on to the next part. I like the graphics. They're colorful. I'm pretty nostalgic for the art direction or style of combining sprites with 3D models. The character we play as could have also been a sprite, but the developers decided to go all out and make a 3D model instead. It might be hard to tell by the footage, but Pepsi Man feels like he has some weight to his movement. He can jump, slide to get under certain obstacles, as well as dash and slow down. Something to keep in mind is that dashing and sliding can let you bypass some stuff that would otherwise slow you down. You also can't dash cancel into a slowdown and vice versa, so this game is lacking a bit in the secret tech department. I'm going to be honest, I like what I'm seeing so far. A thing I don't enjoy is this trash can messing with the player's controls this early on in the game. I think it might have been better to put this kind of thing later on, when the player has a firmer grasp of the mechanics, or in some kind of bonus or challenge level. A missed opportunity was not putting in multiple paths that you could take. They could have had paths that were more difficult, but they took you to the goal faster or gave you some kind of rare collectible or a power-up. This part with the garbage can would have been perfect for something like that. At least it doesn't last too long. Another thing that annoys me is this part with the garbage truck. Although you can dash and slow down, the game doesn't take that into account. So the truck will move at the same speed regardless of how fast you're going. Could you call this an oversight? Did they miss this during playtesting or is it intentional? I decided to fire up the Unity engine and recreate a similar scene myself. I have this area behind the truck, a trigger zone. Basically, when the player enters this zone, they get too close, it will tell the truck to speed up. That white ball is a visual aid to help show that the player is dashing, moving faster. Although this wasn't made with the exact same toolset as Pepsi Man's, it shows how straightforward it is to have implemented it. And this is only one way this could have been done. While playing through this first level, I can clearly see that Pepsi Man follows the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few philosophy. He'll break into as well as through someone's house, knock people over, and disobey traffic laws. Pepsi Man is on a mission, and he's willing to accomplish it by any means necessary. We didn't choose this path, Pepsi Man did. So I get through this without much trouble. Act 2 can basically be summarized as the previous act, but harder. If you're fast or slow enough, you can skip certain obstacles. You also get to ride a skateboard, which is pretty bodacious. But what makes it lame is that knocking into anything will make you lose a life. I can understand that for a vehicle, but you should be able to knock down pedestrians. That timer's a little strict. I hope it doesn't become a problem. We're being chased by a giant Pepsi can and I don't like it. If they really wanted to do this, they should have made the camera take a bird's eye view of the area or pull it back behind the player, just so that they have more time to react to things. Oh, and of course they take your dash away for this. I don't know if I should give the developers credit for not having you get chased down by some generic soda company. It's bold to have a licensed product and to show that product being harmful. I could also make some kind of existential remark about Pepsi Man being chased by the thing he represents, but I'm going to leave that to smarter minds. Well, I got through it.
You're doing pretty good.
Hey, thanks.
Have a Pepsi.
I appreciate the offer, but I don't drink soda.
Next stage.
Pepsi Man! There's a building on fire just ahead. We need to get there immediately, but look what's happened! According to reports I have heard, they got the fire under control, but there are some people that couldn't escape fast enough and are trapped on the roof. They are extremely exhausted, and it doesn't seem likely that we can get first aid to them in time.
People are in trouble and they need a cold, refreshing beverage. Got it. After a while, we get to this section where we're rolling on a container and we can't jump anymore. Okay, I have to slow things down for a bit and give Pepsi Man some credit here. These things with the garbage can, the skateboard, and this, they mix up the gameplay without drastically changing up the control schemes. You're still moving around and avoiding hazards. You're still platforming. The Sonic Adventure series gets a lot of flack for having different characters with various playstyles. But except for Big the Cat, those playstyles still follow the core gameplay of being a platformer. It's not like you're doing a stealth section in a game that's not stealth driven. So in that regard, if you want to be a certain kind of individual, you can say Pepsi Man is better than Ocarina of Time. So now we're on a bridge, and a lot of people are going to see this as a plain old bridge. I could understand where they're coming from. I see this as crossing into hell. See, the start of this level was the gateway, and now we're crossing into it. We're in hell, everybody. Oh, did you see that? That's the Pepsi gods looking out for us. That's the stage. We're in a sewer now, and in contrast to the carnage we just saw, things are much more peaceful down here. This is one of those sections where the dash really comes in handy. In fact, the dash is essential in this stage because you need it to get through this section with the train. I've heard talks about filters in games, parts where the game really tests your skills or the developer trying to weed out certain players. I think this is one of them. The game wants to make sure you understand Pepsi Man's control schemes enough. This is also the stage where I get my first game over. I think now's a good time as any to talk about the music. Since you're able to hear the music in the cutscenes, I'm taking my chances with the copyright mafia by using the game's music in this video. Honestly, I kind of enjoy the music in this game. That's some serious knockback. I'm surprised I didn't die there. Anyway, after 2 more game overs, I make it through this rooftop section and finish the level. This truck tries to kill Pepsi Man. This is worse than last time because you have to be mindful of where you jump now. Anyway, I die twice and get through it. I love this man's enthusiasm. Everyone needs a guy like this in their lives.
Pepsi for TV game.
Pepsi Man. A plane full of passengers had to make an emergency landing in the desert. We were on our way there when the helicopter broke down. Fortunately, no one was hurt or killed. But in the middle of nowhere, right in the middle of the desert, and they are all exhausted.
While you can argue that Pepsi Man isn't really saving the day, he's still providing a valuable service. Being able to keep people calm during a crisis is very important. The gimmick for this level are vehicles coming from the bottom of the screen to run over Pepsi Man. I found this area with the trucks hard to get through without getting hit. Also, with all these advertisements, I'm starting to wonder, are there more than one Pepsi Man? Are we just controlling one out of a group of Pepsi men? Is our Pepsi Man in a loving, consensual relationship with a Pepsi woman? These are not questions that the game will answer, and that makes me unreasonably upset. A little bit further and we come to this area with the logs coming towards you. Now, depending on who you ask, either it's intentional or an accident, you can jump over the logs you're supposed to slide under. I'll leave that up to personal interpretation. Now the Sons of Anarchy are trying to kill Pepsi Man. We have another giant can trying to kill us too, and that's pretty much everything I have to say here. Alright, I don't have much to say about this stage. At this point, you shouldn't expect the game to pull any of its punches. These animals are unfair because they come out when you're really close to them. You enter a mine section where giant boulders come after you. Also, these carts materialize from out of nowhere and slide back after hitting the wall. And I get through it without as much trouble as the previous stage. This time, it's a batch of logs trying to kill you. I hate it. Oh yeah, make the logs coming towards you close to the same color as the bundle. That's fair. I end up getting a lot of game overs here. Look how close I was there. And as if it wasn't enough, getting hit brings you closer to the bundle, giving you less time to react. Remember when I mentioned filters? I think this might be one of those. This might be the casual one. If you can get through this, you're a real Pepsiman pro. Or it's a sign for someone to turn off the game and go do something else. I would go and do the same thing, but I don't have the heart to disappoint this man, so I'm going to press onwards. I did everything I could think of to get through here. At one point I even tried pause buffering, but that didn't work out either. Well, after a while, and the poor suffering of Pepsiman being ingrained into my mind, I finally noticed that there's a pattern to this. So in theory, someone should be able to get through this with enough trial and error. And eventually I finally beat it. Thank God.
Pepsi for pizza.
Pizza is pretty cool.
Pepsi Man, it looks like the main computer of Pepsi City went out of control a little while ago from being overloaded. All the roads are affected by the computer and we can't move ahead. There isn't enough Pepsi for everyone, and violence has flared up amongst those wanting Pepsi. Exhausted people are collapsing because they can't refresh themselves with Pepsi. If it continues like this, there will be a worldwide shortage of Pepsi, and we'll have a real...
These stakes just keep getting higher and higher. If there were a set of levels after this, it would have been Pepsi Man saving the world, then the solar system, and eventually the Pepsi-loving universe. I've got to say, level 2 had a better look of chaos to it. When you get something like that, the only place you can go from there is down. We get signs that fall when you get close to them, cars trying to run you over, and we meet up with our old friend, the garbage can. This is one of the few areas in the game where I came close to running out of time. I just about make it. I actually did run out of time on this stage once, but I forgot to record it. When that happens, you'll lose a life if you have one, or get a game over if you don't. For me, this area with the treadmills is tied with the logs from the third stage in level 3 for the worst part of the game. You don't have to just deal with stuff coming in from out of nowhere, but force speed changes as well. Not a lot of games can say they let you lose to a door. I found myself entering a state of tunnel vision, where the only things I cared about were directly in front of me and my mission. Anything else became background noise, an obstacle between me and my goal. But what you don't see is the immense fear and anguish within my heart. Right after the treadmills was a section that took me by surprise. This part with the pipes wasn't bad for me. I found myself having enough time to react to them, and there's nothing materializing out of the void trying to kill me. Yeah, there are these two signs that fall down when you get near them, but they showed up earlier in the level, so I learned to be wary of them. In addition, you have a lot of space to avoid them. And it finishes with this simple platforming challenge. I didn't think this next part was bad either. Mainly because you get a good sight of what's up ahead, but also because of something else. See, the first set of objects move slow and you can easily jump over them. It's something that's not too difficult or too dangerous. Something that eases you into the challenge up ahead. Then, as you move further along, they start moving faster and are mixed up in more challenging ways. Forgive me for being hyperbolic, it's kind of a slap in the face to go through what the rest of the game has been putting you through, to these sections with the pipes and the moving obstacles. I wish more of the game was similar to the latter. I'm having fun. Right after that, we have the final part of the stage. A high-speed area with moving obstacles and these increasingly narrow passageways that I think are wide enough to just barely squeeze through. Anyone that has made it this far can't give up now, and with enough tries, I finally beat it. I can't put how happy I was to have gotten through this level into words. 11 game overs for this act alone. However, we still have one more stage to get through. There's yet another giant Pepsi can, but this time with smaller ones. This actually wasn't that bad for me, especially compared to the logs from level 3. I only died once. And that's it! I did it!
You got it! Yeah! Yeah! Woo!
Yeah, I beat Pepsi Man! After this, you unlock free play and a new costume for Pepsi Man. When you wear it, the collectibles change. You don't need me to tell you this is a weird game. I don't mean to insult Sonic fans or people that enjoy similar games for what I'm about to say. To me, this game is related to Sonic in the sense that going fast is a reward. Yeah, I died a lot in this game, but do you know what happened every time after that? I went through the levels a little bit faster, getting hit less along the way. I even bothered to collect all the cans in a few of the stages. To me, the parts that are supposed to challenge the player come off as trying to take up their time. A lot of it is trial and error rather than testing your knowledge of the game's mechanics. I wonder, what was the point of adding a time limit? Yes, it adds to the difficulty, but why? I'm no stranger to games with them. In fact, I love Dead Rising and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, but a lot of thought was put into the timer for those. Plus, the movement wasn't automated in them either. For a game like this, if they really wanted to use a timer, I think they should have done something similar to the later 3D Sonic games, giving you a rank for each act based on how long you took to beat it and how many times you bumped into things. Alternatively, if they chose to stick with a time limit, they could have added some sort of collectible that increased the timer. Of course, for both of these, they could still use their current health system. I don't see anything wrong with it. In addition, the knockback is so severe, they should tone it down a bit. And while I'm at it, they should also not have stuff coming from out of nowhere. It's also disappointing to see how underutilized Pepsi Man's moveset is. Remember, he's able to dash, slide, and slow down. It's simple, and there's nothing wrong with that. Rayman in Rayman 2 is able to hover in the air. Sonic in Sonic Adventure is able to spin dash while on the ground and homing attack enemies in the air. Both of these games have many levels and segments that take advantage of their characters' simple movesets. The most interesting thing Pepsi Man has you do is dash jumping over a pit. For example, imagine how rad it would have been to face something like a large gap with a breakable wall or obstacle at the end of it. You would have had to jump after dashing, then have Pepsi Man execute a sick drop kick to get through. And then who knows what you could do when you chain that with a bunch of other obstacles. I've seen and played worse. There aren't a lot of games out there that I'll say have nothing going for them. I think there is a basis for a decent or even a good game here. Pepsi Man is salvageable. If only we had a game that could be considered Pepsi Man but better. When I was younger and the autism that coursed through my veins was more potent, I owned a Nintendo Wii. On it, I'd sometimes browse the online store, the Wii Shop channel. From there, I remember 3 games: Pokemon Rumble, Excitebike World Rally, and Bit Trip Runner. I first discovered Bit Trip Runner through a demo, and I remember liking what I played enough to buy the game. It's a rhythm platformer that also happens to be an auto runner. In it, you play as Commander Video. You go through 3 worlds. Each of them have their own sets of levels and a boss at the end. I enjoy the music. Alongside avoiding the obstacles, you can also try collecting the gold in each level. In addition, the gold adds to each level's song. When you collect these red things, the music changes. Collect enough of the red things and you get a rainbow. Getting all of the gold means you've perfected the level, but you'll also get to do a retro challenge afterwards. If you beat that, you'll get a double perfect. The level design in this game blows Pepsimans out of the water. Take these blocks for example. You learn that the purple ones need to be slid under, while you have to jump over the red ones. Later on, in a level called the Gauntlet, the developers throw them in this wave-like pattern at you. They're also the real final boss in this game. Also, the difficulty in this game is kind of all over the place. I have an easier time with the second boss than the first one, for the fact that the second boss is stationary for the entire fight. In addition, even when not trying to get all the gold, I could go through most of a zone's levels without much trouble, but end up facing a wall at the final set of them. Also, believe it or not, this game is technically harder than Pepsiman, because you have to beat the levels in one go. Even Pepsiman gave you checkpoints. However, the difficulty here is nowhere near as unfair as it is in Pepsiman. Most of the time. So with all that said, I think this game is alright. Well, the devs must have gone, we had some interesting ideas here, but it's not moist, and if it's not moist, it's not a good choice, because they went on to make a sequel.
Today's thrilling episode is brought to you in part by Pip Slip Ship Chips, their ship shape. I'm Charles Martinet, and now it's time for Bit Trip Presents Runner 2, Future Legend of Rhythm Alien.
You've got more levels, with mechanics and concepts the first game could only dream of. There's now a world map instead of a simple stage select. They also added dancing. It's mainly used for high score and in-game achievements, but it is pretty cool. Checkpoints have finally been added, but you can skip them if you want. There's multiple playable characters with their own sets of unlockable costumes. Another new thing are a cannon and a target at the end of every stage. If you hit the bullseye, you get a perfect plus. The retro challenges have been relegated to cartridges you enter through the main stages. If you fail them, you can retry them from the world map. In addition, the stages have branching paths. As for the music here, I like it just as much, if not more, than what's in the first game. Plus, I didn't find the difficulty to be as all over the place as the first Bit Trip Runner. Maybe it's because of the checkpoints, or the higher level count makes the difficulty curve smoother. Either way, even while playing on the hardest difficulty, I was having a good time. At the time of this video, I haven't played the third game yet, but from what I've seen of it, it looks decent. So while I do think Pepsiman had some interesting ideas, I can't honestly recommend playing it, unless you're really curious about it. The Bit Trip Runner series might be better, if you're interested in this type of game. Or we could all just play the superior Coca-Cola Kid on the Sega Game Gear instead.